Greetings, good to see you once again. Today I have something for you for greyhound racing in the place market. But I'm coming to you today, at least for the moment, from a very windy Tuggeranong Hill above Canberra's south. Now, why? Well, it's a nice view basically. I haven't been up here before, so I wanted to come up here just to have a little look around. Behind me is the Tuggeranong Hill TV transmitter site. If we just have a look there, now that receives a signal from way down the other side of Canberra. In fact, you can just see on the hill down there at the Black Mountain Tower transmitter site in the middle of Canberra. That receives the signals received here, and this site here primarily serves the bit of Canberra that's on the other side of this hill. As we look down towards Conda and Banks and further out to Tharwa and Mount Tennant. Now, is that in any way relevant? Well, I guess there is one horse racing channel on there, but it's probably not particularly relevant. It's a nice view anyway, but in order to look at greyhound racing and the place market, we will have to go back home, so we'll head there now. Well, if only travelling from one side of town to the other was as quick as that in real life, but here we are. So the system I'm looking at here is, as I mentioned, with the place market. Now, I had to be a little bit careful with setting this up because the place market for greyhound betting has very little money in it. So you're dealing with a few constraints when you deal with the place market. But that said, it is possible to find a way to get something out of it. Now, in this case, I'm looking at backing the favourite to run a place. Nothing particularly revolutionary about that. As I said, it's really just a matter of being careful about taking the market factors into consideration here. So I'm using the Stop at a Winner Greyhound Deluxe software for this. So it's the Stop at a Winner staking. And that in itself adds to the complexity just a little bit. It's really necessary, I think, in order to actually make the place market work. But because of the staking method, and because of the prices that are available for dogs in the place market being quite low, you can look at some escalation of stake size that goes up pretty quickly. So you do need to be careful, and that's where the constraints have come in. So let me first take you over to the spreadsheet and show you some results. Now, I started off doing this with just Australia and New Zealand. And you can see I started off with just a 10-cent target, and that was doing pretty well. Most days it was making somewhere around $2.50 to $3 per day. Now, not big money by any means, but it was doing quite well. You can see there was one day there where it was down, and I increased the stake for the following day, and it did quite well. I took a little break from it for a few days, came back, and it was still behaving. So over that period of time, it's still, it made $44 in that time, which is quite reasonable, especially when you consider that in the Australian market in particular, there's very little money in the place market, and this was the Australian-New Zealand market, so really not much to work with. The one thing I did notice, though, is that this down day here was actually probably a little bit better than a down day could be. Now, a down day with this could have been down $20, and that, I'm sure, would happen at some stage. So these other days would take a while to recover from that. So I considered opening things up a bit, and I added the UK to this for August. And you can see here August results. Now, this is adding in the UK, and it's done quite well. Now, it's a little bit more topsy-turvy because favourites tend to run a place much more often in Australia than they do in the UK. The percentage difference probably isn't that big, but they're more consistent in Australia. Now, part of that is down to the fact that in a lot of races, there's 8 dogs in Australia, so you've got 3 places, so a slightly better than 1 in 3 chance of running a place. Whereas in the UK, when you've got 6 dog races and only 2 places, well, a 1 in 3 chance, so it's slightly harder to run a place. Plus, the grading in the UK evens out the races a bit. so it can be a little bit harder for a greyhound to run a place in the UK than in Australia. Consequently, Australian place market prices are a bit lower than they tend to be in the UK. It all sort of evens out a little bit anyway. So if we have a look at the results through August so far, you can see that a lot of days have been good, but there have been a few days that have had little down runs in them. Now, I've been running on a system where I start at a 10-cent target per race, and I only increase if there's a down day. So you can see here we had a down day and then 20-cent target the following day. That made a profit for the overall series there, so that was fine. It took a little bit long here. So where are we here? 10-cent target down day, a 20-cent target up day, but not enough to come back, and then a down day at 20 cents, a down day at 30 cents, and a few good days at 40 cents to eventually get to a profit. You can see at the moment, currently sitting on 20-cent targets, trying to hit the series profit again. It's at $123 for the month so far. So that's, well, it's not going to make you rich, but it's a nice little bit of extra money in there. So it's nice. Now, if we go over to the Stop at a Winner Greyhound Deluxe software, you can see this is where we're up to at the moment for today. At the moment, down 43 cents. That's with just so far Australia and New Zealand afternoon racing, so not a lot of races there. Why not a lot of races in Australia and the UK? Well, Australia and New Zealand, well, as I said, not a lot of money in those markets. Now, that's where the constraints of this come in. That's where the settings become somewhat more important. So for this, you can see I've got minimum matched amount in the market needs to be $1,000. So it's the equivalent of about £500. For the UK, that's not a problem. Almost every race is going to have about £500 or 1,000 Australian dollars in the place market, matched at 15 seconds before the race. So not really an issue. Where it is an issue is in Australia and New Zealand, especially the afternoon races. There tends to be quite a bit less money in those. The evening races, you tend to get a bit more. The other thing is the minimum price I'm taking is $1.25. A lot of Australian races, because you can have those three places, have lower prices than that. So if we have a look at today's results so far, you can see Australia and New Zealand, there's been a little bit of activity through the day, but not an awful lot. The stake size increases a bit after a loss. So you can see here, for example, start of a series, 32 cents at $1.70 to try to make the 10 cents. There was a loss, so the next one ended up at $2 at a price of $1.28. That was a winner, so it made its target. But you can see how quickly it can increase. Here, for example, we had 27 cents, 53 cents, $4. That's why I'm not going under $1.25. This is fast enough with the increase. If you get a series of losses, it'll take off pretty quickly if you're down $1.10, things like that, and more likely to run into trouble there. You will get strings of losses along the way, so there will be some down days, and you don't really need lots of heavy increases in stakes to take you towards that stop loss more quickly. At the moment, it's you can see it's had 2 losses in a row. Before that, though, it was up $1.42. It's just those losses have brought it down to 43 cents. Obviously, it's going to continue trying to recover that as it goes. I'm also looking at a top price of $3. If the dog is paying more than $3 for the place and it's the favourite, there is something wrong with that market, so I don't want to do that. $1,000 minimum matched is also that safety measure. Make sure there is, not only that there is actually some money in the market so you can get matched, but also to make sure that the market is well formed. You don't want a marker that has nothing in it or very little in it, and the favourite is maybe not the dog that should be the favourite, and that sort of thing. And then a few more little constraints here to keep things within a range where you can be reasonably confident of actually getting matched. Here you can see I'm looking today at 20-cent target. I normally start at 10 cents. The profit, the tab target, I've set at $4, which 20 times the race target. I don't really mind. I'm not setting a hard tab total target. You can see the continued tab boxes ticked there, so it will just continue. I mean, it never fills up all of the tabs anyway in a day, and I'm resetting each day. The stop loss, though, is set hard at $40. If it hits that $40 loss, that tab stops. The other tabs keep going, so I have found quite a few times that the stop loss is hit, but the rest of the results from the day minimize the damage there. As we saw in the spreadsheet, you can see, obviously a stop loss was hit here, $21, or here, $45, and here, 30 cents, only $37.90 down compared to $45 down on the 20-cent day. So stop losses will be hit, but the good days tend to outnumber the bad days, and with some careful planning they can recover. Now, that's also why I'm only increasing staking after a down day. So you can see here we had the down day at 30 cents, and then all of these good days at 40 cents. I'm not increasing on the good days for the simple reason that I don't want to allow this bet size to get much bigger. I mean, trying to get matched at $40 is hard enough. If you do have a string of losses and have to try and get matched at $40, that's hard enough in the place market without trying to get even more and more and more. So this just helps to constrain it and keep things within a reasonable boundary, so that you will get matched in most cases. There'll be the odd occasion where you don't get fully matched, but in most cases you will, and that's the important thing, especially when we're looking at stopper to winner staking, where you are trying to get back to your target off each race. Important to get matched along the way. So as you can see, through August so far, $123 up, which, as I say, not going to make you rich, but it's certainly a nice little bit of pocket change along the way, and a few little systems running in parallel all add up. So that's a nice thing to see. So that's a simple little system to back the favourites to run a place in the greyhound market using the Stopper to Winner Deluxe software. There's a link to that in the description below. And as I say, it's a nice little system. It's working well for me, and I think it's something that, if you like having a little system, a few little systems, it could work well for you. Now, I will be looking at a couple more greyhound systems soon, and I do want to take this system and see how it would work in shorties staking. Given the price range, it does look like it probably would be a suitable candidate for shorties staking. I did have a quick look at one of the down days, and one of the days that ran a loss in the Stopper to Winner staking, and it did make a profit in shorties. It's just one day. I haven't really done a full analysis yet, but I'll be interested to see how that goes. So that's something I'll be looking at, along with some other greyhound systems, and see how they might go in Stopper to Winner compared to shorties staking. We'll see how all of that goes. So until I see you again, good luck on the punt.